financial reality of retirement in the United Kingdom is often painted as a straightforward period of enjoying one's hard-earned savings. Yet a staggering disparity exists between how two people with the exact same annual income are treated by the taxman. Imagine two pensioners, both bringing in a total of £22,570 a year. To the casual observer, their lifestyles and financial obligations should be identical. However, beneath the surface of these identical figures lies a complex web of tax codes, marriage allowances, and timing strategies that results in one pensioner handing over £1,596 to the government, while the other pays absolutely nothing. This isn't just a minor administrative quirk. It is a fundamental demonstration of how what you get is often less important than how you get it. Understanding this gap requires pulling back the curtain on the personal allowance system and the specific mechanics of the new state pension versus the older systems that many still rely on today, while accounting for the subtle ways the tax office views different streams of revenue as either earned or sheltered. The primary driver of this massive tax discrepancy usually begins with the composition of the income itself. In the United Kingdom, every individual has a personal allowance, which for the current tax year sits at £12,570. This is the amount you can earn before a single penny of income tax is deducted. For our first pensioner, the one paying £0 in tax, their income is likely split strategically between different buckets. Perhaps they receive the full new state pension, which currently hovers around £11,500 per year, leaving them with roughly £1,000 of their personal allowance remaining. If the rest of their income is pulled from a tax-free individual savings account or consists of the 25% tax-free lump sum portion of a private pension, that money remains invisible to the tax collector. By staying within the £12,570 threshold for taxable elements while supplementing the rest with non-taxable wrappers, they effectively vanish from the tax radar despite having over £22,000 to spend. On the flip side, our second pensioner, who is facing a £1,596 tax bill, likely receives their income from sources that are all considered taxable in the eyes of the law. If this individual has a generous defined benefit employer pension on top of their state pension, every pound over that £12,570 threshold is hit with a 20% basic rate tax. To reach a tax bill of £1,596, this pensioner has roughly £7,980 of income sitting in the taxable bracket, while the total cash hitting their bank account is the same as their neighbors. The lack of tax-free wrappers means they are essentially being penalized for the structure of their savings. This highlights a common trap for those who did not utilize individual savings accounts during their working life, or those who have already exhausted their 25% tax-free pension commencement lump sum, leaving them with a fully taxable retirement income stream that erodes their purchasing power. Furthermore, we cannot ignore the marriage allowance, a powerful but frequently underused tool that can swing the tax pendulum even further. If the first pensioner is married and their spouse has an income below the personal allowance, the spouse can transfer £1,260 of their unused allowance to the pensioner. This effectively raises the pensioner's tax-free threshold to £13,830. While this does not account for the entire £1,596 difference, it acts as a significant buffer. When combined with the savings allowance, which allows for up to £1,000 of interest to be earned tax-free, and the dividend allowance, a savvy retiree can stack these exemptions like building blocks. The person paying £0 has likely mastered this architecture, ensuring that none of their various income streams overflow into the taxable zone. They are using the rules of the game to ensure that the £22,570 they receive is the same £22,570 they keep. There is also the matter of timing and the specific type of state pension being claimed. Those who reach state pension age before April 2016 are on the basic state pension system, which often involves a complex mix of the base amount and additional state pension like the state earnings-related pension scheme. If a pensioner is receiving a large chunk of this additional pension, it is fully taxable. In contrast, a younger pensioner on the new state pension might be benefiting from a higher flat rate personal starting point. The second pensioner might also be a victim of emergency tax codes or a failure to consolidate multiple small pension pots, leading to a situation where the tax office assumes they are earning more than they actually are across various sources, resulting in overdeduction at the source. This can lead to a scenario where a pensioner pays hundreds or even thousands of pounds more than they should, simply because they have not filed a self-assessment or asked for a tax code review. The most vital takeaway from this comparison is that the tax system does not look at your total wealth. It looks at your taxable events. The pensioner paying £1,596 is likely receiving a monthly check from an old company scheme where tax is deducted before it even reaches them. They have no flexibility. The pensioner paying £0 is likely acting as their own financial manager, drawing precisely £12,570 from taxable sources and filling the gap with withdrawals from a tax-free individual savings account or capital gains that fall under the annual exempt amount. One is a passive recipient of a taxable stream. The other is an active manager of tax-efficient assets. This disparity serves as a loud wake-up call for anyone approaching retirement. It is not just about how much you save, but where you put it. If you have £50,000 in a standard savings account, the interest might be taxable. But if that same £50,000 is in an individual savings account, every penny of growth is yours to keep. To understand why the gap is exactly £1,596, we have to look at the arithmetic of the basic rate. If you take an income of £22,570 and subtract the personal allowance of £12,570, you are left with £10,000 of taxable income. At a 20% tax rate, that should result in a £2,000 tax bill. However, various small credits, age-related nuances, or slight adjustments in the personal allowance can bring that down to the £1,596 figure seen in many real-world case studies. The person paying £0 might be utilizing the starting rate for savings, which allows for up to £5,000 of interest to be earned tax-free if your other income is low. This hidden rule is one of the most powerful secrets in the retirement playbook, allowing those with modest pensions but significant savings to shield a massive portion of their cash flow from the reach of the government. Consider the psychological impact of this difference. £1,596 represents a significant amount of money for a retiree. It could be the cost of a luxury holiday, a year's worth of energy bills, or a significant contribution to a grandchild's education fund. For the pensioner paying this amount, there is often a sense of unfairness, as they see their neighbor receiving the same gross amount but enjoying a much higher standard of living. This highlights the importance of financial literacy in the years leading up to retirement. Many workers assume that once they stop working, their tax affairs will become simpler, but for many, they actually become more complex. You are moving from a single source of income, your salary, to a patchwork quilt of state benefits, private annuities, drawdowns, and investment dividends. If you do not understand how these pieces fit together, you are essentially leaving a tip for the government that you cannot afford to give. The difference also stems from the concept of drawdown versus annuity. An annuity provides a guaranteed income for life, but it is almost always fully taxable as ordinary income. If our high-tax pensioner bought an annuity with their life savings, they have locked themselves into a taxable path for the rest of their lives. Our zero-tax pensioner might be using a flexible drawdown approach. This allows them to take their £12,570 of taxable income and then stop, taking any further money from their tax-free pots. This flexibility is the ultimate weapon against the taxman. It allows the retiree to stay just below the threshold every single year, essentially engineering a tax-free life. While the annuity provides peace of mind, the drawdown provides tax efficiency, and in the current economic climate, that tax efficiency can be worth more than the guarantee itself. When we look at the broader picture, we see that the tax system is increasingly drawing more pensioners into its net. Because the personal allowance has been frozen at £12,570, while the state pension continues to rise due to the triple lock, more and more retirees are finding that their state pension alone is eating up almost their entire tax-free limit. This means that every single pound they receive from a private pension, a part-time job, or a rental property is taxed at 20% from the very first penny. This fiscal drag is the silent killer of retirement dreams. It is the reason why the gap between our two pensioners will likely only grow in the coming years. The one who has diversified their income streams into tax-free environments will be protected, while the one who relies on traditional taxable pensions will see a larger and larger slice of their income taken away by the state. To bridge this gap, many are now looking at pension recycling or moving money into individual savings accounts in the final decade of their working life. By moving money from a taxable environment into a tax-free one, you are essentially prepaying your future tax or eliminating it altogether. If the pensioner paying £1,596 had moved just a portion of their wealth into a tax-free wrapper 10 years ago, their bill today would be zero. It is a lesson in foresight. The tax system is a maze, and while both pensioners reached the same destination of £22,570 in income, one took the path with the heavy tolls, while the other found the hidden, toll-free, scenic route. The goal for anyone watching their retirement clock tick down should be to study that map as early as possible. In conclusion, the story of these two pensioners is a stark reminder that the headline figure of your income is only half the story. The net income, what actually lands in your bank account to pay for food, heating, and travel, is what determines your quality of life. A difference of £1,596 is not just a number, it is a choice. It is the difference between a retirement of restriction and a retirement of freedom. By understanding the personal allowance, utilizing individual savings accounts, and being strategic about which pension pots to tap into first, any retiree can move closer to that zero tax goal. The government will always take what it is owed, but it is under no obligation to tell you how to pay less. That responsibility falls on the individual. And as we have seen, the rewards for taking that responsibility seriously are substantial. Would you like me to create a step-by-step guide on how to shift your assets into these tax-free wrappers before you reach retirement age?